Hi guys, I'm Forrester here with take 2 of this video. Yesterday morning I did take 1 and we had a couple of unexpected surprises. My mic wasn't turned on, so there was absolutely no sound for the whole video, and my wife made an unexpected appearance through that door right there undressed. So sorry you missed it. I'd have probably left that in if there had been sound, but there was no sound. So we're going to try it again this morning. Now this is an update with my daughter. Several of you have been asking about her, and I really appreciate the thoughts and prayers. She's gone through a fairly hard time over there with the coronavirus and all the lockdown. But that was roughly 7 weeks ago in early February, and I thought it'd be a good time to do an update. I'm going to call her in a second, but if you remember back then when she made that video, they were in lockdown. The streets were deserted. Nobody was out on the streets at all except to get groceries, and food was very scarce, and that was my main concern for her, was would she have food. Let me go ahead and call her and I'll get her on the phone. I'm using WeChat. Hey Carrie, you there? Okay, let me put you on speakerphone so everybody can hear you. But 7 weeks ago, you were in lockdown, I believe, and you said the place was ghost town, nobody was on the streets, and my biggest concern was the lack of food or scarcity of food. What's changed since then?
Well, it's done pretty much a 180 here. I mean, you know, everyone's still very cautious and wears masks when they're out, but a lot of businesses have resumed work, so there's a lot higher volume of traffic on the roads now. Like our online shipping companies are operating at full capacity again. And as far as food, the only real issue we still have remaining is some of the imported products like cheese. The store's been out of cheese for weeks. And but they did recently get an import in of bacon and ham and other foreign products, so I think it's mostly gotten back to normal. Schools are still closed for probably a few more weeks, but other than that, everything's almost fully operational.
Okay, how many confirmed cases did you have back then, and how many deaths?
So here in Hangzhou, we only ever had 181 cases, and we had no deaths, and that was including the greater Hangzhou area, so that's an area that's home to about 20 million people. Now some of those obviously were in their hometowns and things, so maybe not the full 20 million was here, but still well over 10 to 15 million people in the city and only 181 cases, so that was really good. I believe our whole province had just over 1,200 cases, and there were just a handful of deaths, primarily in the city of Wenzhou, which was a little bit harder hit than the other cities in our province.
Well, here in South Carolina, as of this morning, we have 539 confirmed cases and 13 deaths. There were a few more deaths yesterday. So the situation has really reversed. You know, at one time back then when you made that video, I think you were considering whether to come home and, you know, stay here while it was so bad in China, but now it looks like it's better over there and much worse here.
Definitely think so.
Yeah. What's the general mood of the people over there?
I think most people are very anxious to get things totally back to normal. I mean, like I say, everyone's still a little bit nervous about it. Mostly the newest concern, you know, is about imported cases, so there's been a lot of nervousness around that, although just yesterday, I believe, China altered the rules on that. No foreigners are allowed to enter the country, and all airlines, domestic and international, are only allowed to operate one flight in and out of China per week. So I think they're really trying to crack down on imported cases. And so generally, yeah, everyone's just anxious to get back to normal and fairly hopeful now that the situation's turned around and almost everywhere has recovered.
Well, I've been watching a lot of videos that are about it's an anti-foreigner sentiment that's over in China. In fact, I watched a video this morning that was a bunch of BS as far as I'm concerned, but it was blaming the U.S. for all of the viral outbreaks all over the world, claiming that there were multiple strains of the virus and that they all stem back from the U.S. You know, I think it's just a lot of conspiracy theorists out there. But have you experienced any of this anti-foreigner sentiment that I hear is going around?
So I've had one personal experience, which I'll explain in a minute. But one thing that I just learned, like literally about 10 minutes ago, a guy, I think he's actually Chinese though, and he had posted an article talking about the anti-foreigner sentiment that's here. And now he's getting threats that his WeChat account, his official public account, which is all about helping expats, he's gotten notice that it's probably going to be shut down because he's had too many complaints about being accused of being an overseas anti-China person. So I thought that was very interesting because most of what he does is just trying to help foreigners here in China. But personally, you know, I've lived here in our same community for about 6.5 years. So locally, there's no problems. Everybody knows us. We're that foreign family. You know, everyone recognizes us and our kid. So everyone's pretty chill as far as relating to us locally. But we did have an incident about 2 weeks ago. Our passports are up for renewal this year, and we had to travel up to Shanghai to the U.S. consulate. And so the trip up there was fine. Shanghai had a very efficient system. We just had to, the Chinese could use an app to sign their information, but we had to fill out a paper. But that was it. And then we went about our business, did our stuff at the consulate, came back same day. And when we got back into Hangzhou, the rail station has basically shut down to foreigners. And so while the Chinese were standing in line to fill out the little form like we'd done in Shanghai, we were told that we had to go to this special area. And so they had set up, they had kind of blocked off the entire center of the station. It was a very huge area because the station's nearly 1 kilometer long. And so they had this big kiosk in the center with all these guards, and we had to go through there to register, which was crazy because we kept going, you guys, we just left this morning. Like, we didn't go anywhere. We went up to Shanghai and back. But anyways, so we finally get through that registration, and they were like, okay, so can we go? And they're like, no, you have to wait for a security guard to escort you to the taxi stop, which was really bizarre. And so the security guard, he escorted us to the taxi, and we're like, okay, whatever. And then as we were getting in the car, he starts taking photographs of us getting in the car and the taxi driver's license plate. And then the taxi driver got really upset, and he got out of the car and started yelling at the security guard. And I mean, he was talking really fast, so I couldn't keep up with everything that was being said. But essentially it was he didn't want foreigners in his vehicle because he thought we'd just come from overseas and that we were going to infect him. And he was just really, really adamant that he did not want to have us in the car. And the security guard was like, no, you have to do your job. It's your job to take them, blah, blah, blah. And at one point, like, I just yelled back at him. I'm like, we live in Hangzhou. We've never left the country. And anyway, eventually he did finally take us. And as we were driving off, he muttered some, you know, kind of half-butt apology about it. But anyways, it was really weird, and I am not looking forward to having to go pick up the passports in Shanghai when they arrive, because I just don't want to deal with that. Like I say, it's good in our community, but out and about, yeah, I think there's more problems with it now.
Well, just be careful. Be careful. I've heard that in some places it's turning into violence, so don't take any unnecessary chances. The advice that the one person gave was just keep as low a profile as you can while there's this anti-foreigner sentiment over there. Well, I'm going to log off here with you, and then I'm going to go and show a website that I think is very interesting called COVID Act Now, which shows what the situation over here might build up to. It's growing rapidly, and it looks like I got news yesterday. I've been working at home for the past week, and it looks like things are going to be shut down for at least the month of April and possibly into May. So anyway, we're in for, looks like a long haul. It might go this whole summer. But I'll say goodbye now. I appreciate you taking the time to give us this update.
All right. Have a good one.
Okay, bye. Okay, I'm going to reposition the camera and then show you this website. Hang on. Okay, this is a website and it's called COVID Act Now. It's covidactnow.org, and you come to this map of the U.S. You can click on any state. I'm in South Carolina, so I'm going to click on South Carolina, and it gives you basically, let me see if I can focus this a little bit better. It gives you basically 4 scenarios. So one scenario right here in red is, let's see, this one right here in red is the number of beds that we'd need in South Carolina if we did nothing to deal with the virus. And it's 112,167 hospital beds in the peak. Now this right here is if we do 3 months of social distancing, basically what we're doing right now, and basically it cuts it down to 43,581 by May the 22nd. Now I didn't mention it, but this line down here is the number of hospital beds that we have in South Carolina right now. We would exceed that limit on April the 16th or so. If we did nothing, we would exceed the limit sometime around April the 28th if we did 3 months of social distancing. But then there's 3 months of sheltering in place, which is this line right there. It's very low. We never exceed our capacity for hospital beds. And then there's 3 months of lockdown, and it's hard to see that because the line is so small. But that's what basically China did, and I doubt we'll do here in the U.S. But I don't know where this data comes from. It's a model that someone developed, but it's one person's opinion. I thought it was interesting. You can go and click on your state and see what these scenarios play out, how they play out in your state. All right, I hope this was interesting to you. We'll do another update probably in a month or so. Talk to y'all later.